right, everyone, welcome back to The Rabbit, where we try to find common ground in a world full of rage quitters. I'm Deion, your host, and today I have been Greenle and Clayton Anderson. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, no worries, brothers. It's always a good time. So today we are going to talk about the scaling back of. Hold on, let me. The Trump administration scales back on the department's annual report on international human rights to remove long-standing critiques of abuse, such as harsh prison conditions, government corruption, and restricting on participation in political process. So let's go. First off, man, this is a hard one for me because prisons, like, what do you consider human rights for a prisoner? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, go ahead.
I would say more like you gotta have. I mean, you gotta have some kind of structure in there at the very least. Whether it's like you have your wake up time, you have your back in the cell time, you have your two to three meals, even if it's just one meal during the middle of the day. Just you have some kind of structure throughout the day, instead of like you going days without food or water or something like that. Would be kind of where I would lean on it, and then depending on the severity of your thing, depending on the wing that you're in. So if you kind of a mass murderer, you're going to be in your own isolated wing, and then till your X date, you're on the bottom of the list of being cared for because you took your pet.
you go right to the bottom of the list. I think when it comes to rights for prisoners, and this may be a bit of a long shot, like, depending on the severity, and I mean, like, there's maximum security for a reason. Depending on the severity of your crime, it depends on how well you're treated in that. But I think this is more of a globalized thing. I don't think it's just, the United States. I think this kind of goes into like the world, like, are we've kind of pulled back our reach on being the world police and said, hey, it's not really our issue how Venezuela treats its prisoners, or how Iraq or Iran treat their prisoners. And I just kind of want to get into that. Like, do you think we should receive reports on that? Like, Ben, what do you think?
I mean, I think the question is a little bit bigger than that. Like, what are human rights? But do human rights even exist? Outside of prisons, let alone in prisons. Like where do our rights come from? Who gave us our rights? Well, I would ask you that question, Clay.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would come. Who started it? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it come from the government and how they wrote the bills to supply. So depending on this, like, say you now recently, let's say like in Omaha, you get caught with a bag of weed, you might go to prison right now.
Really?
Or used to.
Oh, no. Omaha's always been kind of the they've always been like, weed's like a parking ticket. Like, you're gonna get a fine, and depending on how many parking tickets you have, they may do more. But
I'm just like a bottom end to a higher end thing.
Right.
It's like, so some might be a slap on the wrist, other might be you might go sit the night in county or something like that just to get yourself cleaned up.
So it's government.
It's just kind of
right. Like, they don't exist outside.
It's the people that we chose to put in leadership to tell us on how we should.
So this report is a State Department report from our government.
Yeah, this is our government.
On other governments,
correct,
potentially violating the rights of other people. It's their government in other countries. So like Deion said, we're not the world police.
We are the world.
Could we be? That's another question. But kind of scaling back on that is what I gleaned from reading that part of the report.
So I think that in trying to scale back and to cut back on government spending, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, you know what? We don't actually need this piece of information because it doesn't pertain to us as a country. But I also think in doing so, there are some countries out there that are in desperate need of, or could at least use a helping hand or a guiding hand from our government. Like, so I like to always bring up Haiti. Like, man, if we had helped them versus who did they have come in? They actually, I think it was the Kenyan police force or military that they actually had come in and help them try to retake control of the country of their country. And I haven't really read anything beyond that. Like as soon as I saw Kenyan police force, I was like, oh my god,
What happened?
like this is going to end poorly for everyone. So I'll circle back on that later and like do a little research on that on a later show. But I will say there are some humanitarian crises out there that I believe if they wanted our help and they reached out and they asked and there wasn't this kind of revolt against Western society, I'd be more than happy to say, hell yeah, let's go out there and help those people. But it seems like more often than not, the people who we're trying to help, like they hate us.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
hey brother, let me give you a loaf of bread. No, fuck you. You're America.
So I think I'm not a big fan of the current presidency that we have by any means, but I think because I like to think positive about it, is
Mhm.
he likes to poke the bear in every direction possible, and now he's poked on something that hasn't been poked in a long time. So it's going to be screwed up for till the next setup, but that's going to be a big primary thing for the next branch to really fix.
What
Like
when you
it
say
really,
fix? What do you mean?
I meant make it more of a priority to get more straightened up. Maybe do some things different because we haven't. When was the last time we made any amendments to do anything differently with it?
That's a good question.
So I was like, right now he just poking the bear, just getting everybody's attention towards it. So you're looking at it, everybody's got a comment towards it.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah,
I would say
because when was the last time you actually thought about it?
exactly.
So it's just poke. How far can I poke? And then move on to the next topic.
And just open it up for us to get together and talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about this if
it didn't happen. Yeah.
Biden 2.0 or Kamala.
Yeah.
We should be talking about this though. I mean, at what point do we say, okay, we have given so much? And I mean, I'll say this because, everybody's had that one friend who they've tried to help over and over again. You remember Tiffany that we used to work with?
Oh yeah.
I used to drive her home to make sure that her significant other didn't put hands on her. And, and then I offered to like get her a place to help her out with the place and whatnot, and it was, this was all charity work for me. I didn't need to do this at all, but
I didn't even know about it. So
man, oh my goodness.
You doing that. So that's actually.
And so like, at one point I had, she was like, hey, I finally, I'm ready to leave. I need to get out of here. And so I got her a hotel room and that night she told him to come over.
No.
Guess what happened? So I like to equate kind of what we're doing now is saying, hey, look, I've helped you. I got you this hotel. I've tried to get you out of harm's way for so long. I have to kind of wash my hands of a little bit of this because if I don't, it's always costing the caretaker, not the victim more often than not. And if the victim is, one of those people who want to keep going back to their abusers, then what do?
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, that's kind of my take on it. I mean, color me right, color me wrong on that. That's just where I kind of look at it. It's like, how much are we willing to invest in people who continuously want to be, whether it's for their religion or other reasons, they take the abuse. And so like, how much help is enough?
And then when do we walk away? Do they realize that?
Yeah.
So that's really what's come down. It's like walk away for a hot minute and see what happens.
Yeah. I think so. So the prison, prisoners' rights specifically, it's not really our responsibility in this country to worry about the prisoners in other countries.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, if you committed a crime in a country where the punishment is whatever it is, you probably knew about it.
Probably
going in, and
you reap what you do.
Yeah, I mean,
but someplace
is it our responsibility to say, "Oh, you can't punish this person in this way"? Probably not.
Well, that brings me to the Brittany Griner case. You're playing ball in Russia, and you take what they consider to be an illegal drug with you, and they find it, and you're like, oh my God, it was an accident. And then all of a sudden, there are a bunch of bleeding hearts here saying you should free her. It's not a big deal. But that's not our country.
Precisely.
Like, we don't have the same laws. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think people look at the pretenses of everyone should follow the same rule of law that America does. Well, everyone doesn't have the same constitution that America does. So, like, it doesn't equate. And so then didn't we free like a hitman of some
Yeah,
sort
there
to
was.
get her back? So we circulated a hitman back into society to get Brittany Griner back. Meanwhile, there's an actual, I believe it's a Marine who's still in Russian custody under espionage charges for just being there visiting.
Yep. Which that's probably the last country I'd want to visit. Like I'd like to see it, but I don't want to go in because I don't know if I'm coming back out.
Brother.
So this guy that got released, what was the story with him?
Oh, no. This is
Traded this guy for.
We traded.
It was a 1-for-1, I think.
I know. I don't even believe it was a 1-for-1. I think we got a few American prisoners back. I know there was a journalist who was returned to us. He's of Russian descent, but he was there covering, I believe, the war in Ukraine. And unfortunately, I didn't keep all the names with me because I didn't really expect this to come up, but he was returned. Brittany Griner returned. I think there was a third person returned, and then we returned. Basically a hardened criminal. We released a hitman back into the streets, and God, I believe maybe there was someone else. I don't know.
So what this guy did is illegal here. He's in jail here.
Yeah,
Released him back to
Russia.
Russia.
Yeah,
Is what he did illegal in Russia also?
absolutely.
One would think.
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
every country, every state has its own rules. So
probably going to prison there. Hopefully.
And then who are you?
No. He was one of Putin's guys, if I remember correctly. Like, yeah, he was an assassin for the Kremlin or something of that nature. And don't
your friends are. Your friends take care of you.
Hey, you know what? If that's your boy, honestly, if one of you guys were in prison in Russia, and I will say this:
who would you trade?
Good luck.
I have a photo of you. That's what I'm remembering back.
They just, I'll if you get a phone call, just hit your boy up and be like, "Hey, I think I'm okay this week." So, yeah, man. But I will say, like, what's right here, and this goes into like even when you're on vacation. Like, there are countries where if you're not married and you have sex in that country, you're probably going to go to jail if they can prove that you had intercourse with your girlfriend. So just, I would say this is as a traveler and a person who likes to go places, like, read the room, know your rights, know the laws of that country. Don't just assume that it's okay in America, so it's gonna be okay here, because that's just crazy talk.
Yeah,
and the same thing's true even within the states. Like, there's things that we can do here that you can't do. Say I were to concealed carry, right? And then I drive into Colorado. Like, you can't do that. And I know that, and I wouldn't do that. Right? If I did, consequences, they're there.
Yep. And I mean, on a lighter note, if you go to Kansas, you absolutely cannot have sex with chickens. I'm sure there's a law against that. So, that's just where we are, man.
Time to move on to donkeys.
Look, don't shoot the messenger. Also, what?
What? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that little detail.
Oh my God, they're gonna kick us off television.
It's a good thing it's the podcast.
I know we're also we're on Cox Cable Channel 22. So any of our listeners out there, I'd like to remind you, if you like what you're hearing, or if you don't like what you're hearing, or if you just want to come on the show and argue, please like and subscribe. Shoot me a message, and I'll get you on the show. I promise. Cheers. So kind of to wrap, I wanted to throw a couple of things at you guys that I don't normally do this on the show, but I kind of wanted to throw a couple of things at you guys. What are you guys listening to for music today?
Ooh. So I'm music's still kind of newer to me. I didn't really care for it till I hit my mid-20s, roughly. Like, it wasn't a big part of my life by any means.
Were you living in a fucking cave?
Basically.
We know no music until now.
I could have just cared less. Music was one way or another, but
when you work, when you work, you don't listen to music.
I worked in warehouses. We don't get it. We don't get music.
You
don't get radio.
There are these things called headphones.
You can't have them. safety.
Oh my god.
Industrial warehouses.
So you
Are
guys just
earplugs, and you can't have it with forklifts and everything. Just safety. So you never
wow.
had it.
Yeah. Well, so what do you do like for fun that would be comparable to music? You play video games or
Yeah. So then it was video games, and then
Now it's
then the sport I played was swimming. So I never had music playing because waterproof headphones weren't really a thing.
yeah, not
And I
back in the
got
day.
tired of MP3 players because having a cord drag when you're swimming is just stupid.
Yeah.
But now there's new ones that are bone conducting, which are
Mhm.
super nice. So I listen to an audiobook when I swim, so I get distracted nicely.
Were you one of those guys that shaved yourself to go swimming?
Only for the end of the year for swimming. So state, metro, and state was when we did the shave down.
Fucking hairless Clay.
I mean,
did it help?
yeah, you get a little less
Okay.
drag, so you go faster.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And now I'm as woolly as a woolly mammoth.
Yep. Well, obviously.
I mean, some people may call me Sasquatch. It's fine.
I call you Sasquatch
I know you do.
behind your back, not to your face, because I don't want that smoke.
Come on now.
Ben, what are you listening to?
It's actually kind of a weird answer to this. I'm a musician, so in the past I've always listened to stuff that would inspire me, or things that I wanted to incorporate into my music, right? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
you want to play guitar solos, what do you listen to? You listen to Hendrix, you listen to Zeppelin,
Mm-hmm.
Pink Floyd, all that.
Yeah.
But in the last several years, it's really weird. I don't even listen to music unless I'm with, say, my brother, and he's got his Spotify like playlist.
Oh wow.
So when I drive to work or when I'm just driving around, I don't really even listen to music, which is kind of, I've heard that's weird.
It's not. It's not. It's like
It's silence, man, just total silence.
I'm
And then that way, when I go home, I can pick up my guitar, and it just
it's
me,
all fresh.
right?
Yep.
I've already listened to all this stuff that I really like. I don't think there's a whole lot in the music industry today that's inspiring. I really don't. That I've heard, but then again, I don't listen to music, so
Yeah.
right.
it's more of trying to be in the creative mode rather than
Yeah.
the absorbing.
So I'll say back when I used to write, there were a couple of live songs that, later on, I didn't realize I was actually rewriting the same song that I'd heard years ago. But it was like, I'm writing this song and I'm like, oh yeah, this just absolutely kicks it. And you know, a couple of years later, I'm listening to my song. Well, I'm listening to the radio, and this is back this is like early 2000s. I'm listening to like 90s alternative radio station, and this live song comes on, and it's like I alone love you, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
That's the
I just I ripped live off so hard, and I'm just sitting there like, please, music gods, forgive me. I didn't realize that I'd heard, and I think a lot of it is subliminal. Like, you don't even realize that you'd listened to this song so many times and it resonated with you, and then you actually really just start writing the same song with different lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually had guys show up to our rehearsal time. The same exact thing would happen. Like, they'll start playing, I wrote this sweet riff, man, you got to hear it. And they'll start playing it. And I'm just like, that's pretty catchy. I feel like
I feel like I've heard that.
could be a hit. It is a hit. That's already a song,
Let's
Yeah.
get the Shazam out.
Yeah.
Verify we're not going anywhere with it.
Yeah.
What was the other one? There was another one that I kind of sort of. So there's this musician that I listen to, Tomish. I think he's a bass player out of Europe or someplace like that, and a lot of his stuff is neo soul. So it's like jazz soul, and I just find myself kind of gravitating toward that. The older I get, the less I want to actually like make music that actually like fries your face off when you listen to it. Like, you turn on your radio, da da da. So I just kind of like stuff that kind of starts out smooth and kind of gets you in the mood to, have a good day. And Tom is definitely, in my top 10 musicians who just he keeps it steady. Like, it's never like too exciting or too dull. It's just kind of in the middle. And I found myself that I'd really rewritten one of his songs, and I'm not going to say which one it was, but I scrapped the whole project because I was just like, you know what, I messed up. Like, I do better next time, Deion. Like, there's too much music out there, and you need to. And so with that being said, Ben, I'm sorry I kind of went long-winded on that. I had to quit listening to music to write because otherwise I'd be like,
You were subliminally writing everybody else's stuff.
Exactly.
The Simpsons did it. You know what I mean? Like the Simpsons did it. Like I feel like that guy just shows up in my mind. Like
They kind of did it all. So
yeah. But I mean, even in music, I feel like everything that's been written, like every chord progression you can probably think of, is already everyone that's catchy and that really makes a room move. It's already been done before. It's just how are we going to add nuance? How are we going to make it ours? But mostly I think that you kind of have to with music. It has if it's not from the heart. And I mean, again, like I wrote a song based on a live song, and it was like one of our top songs ever. And then again, years later, I listened to it and I'm like, damn. I hope nobody figures this shit out because
Yeah.
they're gonna cancel.
just a cover band.
It's just
fine.
any art form, it's kind of recycled. Everything goes back in, and it's all recycled. It's all recycled over and over and over. But the great artists, a lot of times, and musicians included, they'll stop. They'll kind of try to find their own thing and listen or look at other people's art less. So that's how I perceive it anyway.
Just kind of reset.
Yeah. That way I'm not subliminally listening to Sublime in my head and playing guitar.
That's sublime. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, it is.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for listening and invite you all to tune in and, keep tuning in because this is going to be wild. Like, I am going to go into some things that I promise you will get me canceled. And with that being said, cheers, and I hope to see you guys again.
Thank you, Deion.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
You guys are welcome back on the show anytime.
Oh, it's good.